We can start with the Bills. Let's start. They are the defending, reigning division champs. We can get into them. This is year four for Josh Allen.
Yep.
Year
Yep.
four.
Just got paid.
Okay. Just got a hefty bag. He said he's not worried about it. It's gonna work itself out. It worked itself out. Um. So yeah, Josh Allen's development is something that has been sort of one of those things that you were very polarized on him when he came out. You were either he's a bust or he might be the greatest thing we've ever seen. He got into the right system with the coaching, and I think they are playing to his strengths and putting the necessary tools around him to win with weapons, line, and then a defense that's also hard nosed. Um, so this is a team that, in theory, should be the favorites to win the division again. One thing that's probably standing in their way is anti-vaxxers, but I think I think this team, they are the easy money to win this division. The offense is potent. That Diggs and Allen connection is something I didn't see being so good so quick. Running back is one of those things where they have two backs. I do think they underwhelmed in fantasy for me last year. But I will say just the kind of reps that Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen get, the volume, it kind of takes away from them, and even Josh Allen at the goal line. But that's just like for fantasy purposes. I think just in terms of just winning this division, this team should be, the one that we're picking, and they have very viable fantasy options and potential league winners on that offense.
Yeah, I mean they're a legit Super Bowl contender. I mean, like I don't think anyone would say anyone other than Kansas City is the favorite in the AFC. But I mean, if you told me that Buffalo is going to the Super Bowl this year, I would not be all that surprised. I guess the kind of depressing thing about Josh Allen's development is last couple of years, especially last 2 years, you were getting him at pretty nice discounts for the fantasy value that he was providing, because even going into his sophomore year, when he was far from the player that he became last year, the narratives around him and his, I guess, erraticness throwing the ball clouded how good of a fantasy player he was, because his rushing floor by itself made him a pretty easy top 10 quarterback. And that was before he figured out how to become a top 5 quarterback and a bona fide MVP guy. So, I mean, how many quarterbacks are you guys taking before him this year? It's probably Patrick Mahomes, and
Maybe you can talk yourself into Lamar.
I can't because
I wouldn't, but some people can.
You'd have to be really high on what the Ravens could do throwing the ball this year.
Got him some receivers, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're the one that said that Rashad Bateman was going to be blocking the wing T for the last couple of months, so I just didn't know that you were that high on the Ravens passing game. But
I will not pick. I'm just saying people will make that argument. I don't think it's a far-fetched discussion.
Okay, in most people's minds, he is QB2, no?
I think the rushing stuff here is, really the differentiator, like in the side to it, even with Lamar and him. And I don't think it would be crazy to take Lamar over it. I think they're in similar tiers. Like Lamar's rushing game, and like Raz mentioned, in terms of just the goal line value, and Zach Moss and Devin Singletary are two guys who I was huge fans of coming out, and I do think individually they are both good talents, but just looking at it, and from each of them, with the fact that Josh Allen is their goal line back, and just looking at his actual career stats, and he's had rushing wise in year one, his rookie season, he rushed for eight touchdowns. Year two, he had 9 touchdowns on the ground, and then last year he also had 8. So that's going to make it really tough for those guys who I do think with additional value, or that's kind of been what like even someone like a Devin Singletary, who I was a fan of, but the guy's basically only had a couple touchdowns. Like, I think off the top of my head, it might be like 3 or 4 touchdowns through his first 2 seasons, and a product of that is, Josh Allen taking away the most valuable goal line looks on the actual field. So I think it's gonna be interesting. I do think Zach Moss has a chance to be. I wouldn't feel comfortable with him as my RB2, but I think taking him in that flex spot, or taking him in that flex spot, RB3, RB4, depending on how your team's coming out.
He might have to be RB4 for me.
Yeah, but I think even there, but I do think just talking about his offense, because last year.
I guess here's my thing with how they the problem, like you mentioned, was volume for them last year above anything. Like they just ran the ball so little, just because the passing offense was so dynamic.
And Josh Allen was not dumping it down, so that was another.
No, he's letting that shit fucking fly.
He's looking down the field, and it's just like, Josh, that's my type of quarterback. And I know, like, a lot of the, it's okay to say you were wrong, guys. Like the Josh Allen thing, I reached that point of holy shit, I was a little wrong early. I reached it towards the back end of his rookie season, to where I was just like, I'm seeing a lot more. And the pieces didn't come all together the rookie season, but even like I said, it's okay to make you wrong on something.
Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. I don't know if I've been more wrong on 2 quarterbacks, to be honest.
And it doesn't take long to notice when you're in the wrong on these things. So
with all due respect to Josh Allen, Justin Herbert was much quicker, but yes.
No, but and I feel like
Justin Herbert was like the first half of his first game. I was like, I fucked up.
Yeah, but even just like where he's came, and I do think like in terms of like development and how we actually look at these quarterbacks, and a lot of it is the setting and the scenario that you're being put in, and I do think Buffalo, shout out to Brandon Beane, one of the better GMs in the league in general. He's done a great job of just and I think even as we get towards the receiving core a little bit, I do think they have a deep receiving core with a bunch of guys who can do different things and play in different roles. Like even just going off last year, and it's always going to be tough to repeat the success that they had, because that's one thing that I always try and tell people, just to keep an eye out when we're talking about projecting. And we do this thing to where it's just like, last year is the foresight and the memory that's in our head. So people think it's going to be a clean projection from year to year. Strange things happen. So it's just like whenever it's always tough, and it's always going to be hard to duplicate that success. Last year, the Bills were second in overall points per game in total yards, third in overall passing yards, led the league in 3 wide receiver sets and passing first downs. They also led the league in percentage of snaps with 4 wide receivers on the actual field. So that's another thing to where I do think when we talk about the receiving core, Raz, you said a lot of people weren't on the Stephon Diggs thing last year. Not I. You know what I'm saying? I think people just slept on how good of a receiver Stephon Diggs was. That guy is always open. Literally, always open. And having that type of receiver that can beat press coverage, that can get open in the slot, that one of the, I would say like a top 3 route runner in the league at worst is Stephon Diggs. So I just think and even talking about the receiving core, because I think a couple guys who I would love to get Matt's opinion on this. Shout out to my guy Gabriel Davis. Even somebody like Cole Beasley. We can make all the anti-vax jokes, but Cole Beasley was Money in the Bank last year.
PPR God. PPR God.
He was perfect. He was perfect in that role for them, and his development with Josh Allen was amazing. Emmanuel Sanders is not washed up. People are looking at him as if he is an afterthought. Emmanuel Sanders can play, man. Emmanuel Sanders, like when I actually went back and took a look at what he put on tape last year, he's not washed up. And Emmanuel Sanders, Emmanuel Sanders on his best day was better than Cole Beasley. You know what I'm saying? I think Emmanuel Sanders still has a lot of stuff in the tank, and I do think when you're talking about just how much the Bills are going to pass, and they were a pass first team, as we just gave you the stats and everything. But I do think Emmanuel Sanders is going to have a role in this offense, which brings me to my guy Gabriel Davis as well, who I am a fan of, But I do think in terms of volume and opportunity for him, even though he is the only, he's the main big receiver guy that they have on this team. I also shout out to Isaiah Hodgins, another kid that they drafted last year, in the 6th round, big body wideout, pretty good ball skills, I would say. I think his route running could probably use some improvement, but I think from a dynasty perspective, Isaiah Hodgins is somebody to keep an eye out, and not to leave him out, because I also do think he has a specific role in this offense to where it might be tough for him to reach fantasy relevance. But even somebody like Isaiah McKenzie is somebody who, like, I think he's a legit receiver. He only played about 25% of the snaps last year, but he caught about he reeled in about 88% of the balls that were thrown to him last year, and I just think a lot of his skill set, and I think he is mostly like, he's probably going to play in the gadget role, and definitely they're going to find ways to get the ball in his hands. So, I think it's a pretty interesting receiving core, and something that is probably one of the deeper ones. So, Matt, I guess Matt and Raz, what do you guys make of and Stephon Diggs? Amazing, take him. Back in 1st round, early 2nd round. Money in the bank. You won't regret that one. But for the rest of these guys, what do you guys make of the other Bills running wide receivers?
I mean, Beasley, other than his fascination with not being vaxxed. I mean, if he's healthy and available,
and his terrible raps.
Yeah, I mean, sure, we don't need to even discuss that. I think that's somebody that, he was very reliable last year. Very reliable. There would be times where I would try to outthink myself, like, nah, is he gonna do this again? And I would sit him, and he went out there and he was a reliable set of points that you could count on last season, and he has that trust with Josh Allen, and I don't see why that would have went away this year. Gabriel Davis, he's probably like a wide receiver.
Probably like 4 or 5-ish. Probably.
Yeah, he's like average draft, probably like in between 55 to like 60-ish or somewhere around there. Like, so I mean, you have 3 receivers within the top 60. I would say that's a pretty good receiving core, just even on the playing style on the field as well. If we're not even talking about fantasy, like, they just complement each other pretty well with the quarterback and offense that they're in. So, I mean, I think, leading with those first 2, Cole and Stephon Diggs, those are pretty safe bets. Obviously, Diggs is a wide receiver 1, and, you could argue, depending on the year, that Cole could be a 2, but you would be very happy with him as your flex player.
Yeah, so I think Emmanuel Sanders might end up having a better season, and I think when we just
you think so?
It might. I do. I think just in general, I think Emmanuel Sanders was always better than Cole Beasley.
No, yeah, he's better. I don't know. I don't.
And he's gonna. And Emmanuel Sanders can play.
Is he better? Is he better in that role with Josh Allen right now, though?
I think he's the chemistry is not there, but it's like Emmanuel Sanders is such a good route runner, and a lot of the post Peyton Manning era when he was in Denver, and even like we saw him really get good chemistry when he was playing with Drew Brees. So it's just like, I do think his skill set is translatable. And yeah, I think a couple of them, they might vulture each other, and we might be looking at each of these guys being on like wide receiver 3 fringes. But yeah, I don't think I think Emmanuel Sanders is going to have a respectable chunk in this offense, and I think he's pretty much going at a nice value. As you basically just round out the end of your fantasy roster, basically.
Diggs, like a wide receiver 1 overall finish for Diggs is like very, very realistic. I'm probably taking Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill before him, but I would think about Diggs as the first wide receiver. It's definitely possible. Beasley, I think I drafted Beasley in one league last year, where I'm probably going to end up drafting Davis this year. Not to say that Davis is going to have a similar season to what Cole Beasley did last year, because Cole Beasley, his floor last year was so insanely safe. I think that he, up until maybe like week 15 or 16, he was a double-digit point scorer every single week in PPR leagues. So Last year he was a legit wide receiver too. I don't know that I would like want him in that role this upcoming year, but if I went like super running back heavy early, like maybe, but like you said, probably a flex play more. Gabriel Davis is the last pick that I'm making more than I think anyone else in any mocks right now. Because if you think about if he takes the John Brown role, but he's younger, bigger, faster, and potentially better than John Brown, and we know how Josh Allen likes to air it out, the upside there is tremendously high to the point where, where I'm grabbing him like with the last pick in a 14-team league, there aren't going to be that many more higher upside lottery ticket plays. So, yeah, I'm taking him all day in those kind of leagues. And then who's the other one? To be honest, I have not thought a whole lot about Emmanuel Sanders, but you brought him up.
Like I said, I just pulled up a quick report, and yeah, they're saying he's been shining and connecting with Josh Allen early. I think the last point on the Bills, I would say, with Emmanuel. I think the last point on the Bills, I would say, as far as like, because they're gonna pass it out to the receivers, so it's just like I don't think it's out of the question to where they have three respectable receivers that are going to be startable, especially when you consider how much how they use the short passing game. And considering, the running game, how to use basically Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, I do think it's going to give them a pretty good option. But yeah, I think we can move on. You want to get to the Dolphins?
No love to Dawson Knox.
He wasting
our time there.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to go there, I mean, I guess.
Yeah. But I liked him a lot going to last year, and it didn't really work out. I didn't draft him anywhere, but I thought he could break out, but it did not happen.